The rematch that I think everybody was waiting for, the Mayhem up against the Outlaws. Hex denied the reverse sweep last time around. Have Outlaws recovered? We'll have to wait and find out. It was a very, very close game. It was all up to Yaki on the Tracer for map number 5 last time. Will be the same be said for them again? I mean, Dante has also looked spectacular over the last couple of weeks too.
Yeah, that's the matchup you look forward to when you look at these teams. Yaki spent a good majority of the last series of these two teams that went to 5 on Genji, maybe just getting some practice in with the blade. I think he had like third or second most playtime on Genji in the last several weeks, so he was really working on it. But when we think of Yaki, we think of just God-tier Tracer performances. Had to bust it out in map 5, like, okay guys, stop messing around. This Houston team's actually kind of dangerous. And so the Tracer battle between Yaki and Dante did commence, and those are the players that we're going to be looking at. I know we're damage-oriented, especially in our pre-games, and then we usually end up focusing on Sigma and Anas as our players of the match, so that's just how it be sometimes. Take a look at the stats here between Dante and Yaki. What do you see here, Jack?
Well, I see a whole lot more damage for Dante, about 1k extra, but the thing that strikes me and the comparison between the hero damage and the final blow is Yaki, of course, standing out there just a little bit. Yaki definitely a player that can finish up on a lot of kills. It feels like the Florida Mayhem, the way they want to run it is the Ashe to chunk people down, then Yaki kind of finishes people off. Dante, a little bit more like solo orientated, the way he doesn't need to follow up on the kills and follow up on the damage. He can just kind of do that kind of stuff himself. That's what it screams to me anyway. And we've got a soundbite from Dante as well about this rematch coming into today. Let's see what he has to say.
I was actually pretty surprised because I don't even think I died once on Blizzard World. So that should say a lot about that map. I think Junkertown, maybe I died like 3 times. Like I don't know. I was kind of just hard farming them, so I'm really just surprised that they picked us. But you know,
what was your biggest takeaway from the match you had
happens.
against the Florida Mayhem?
Well, I think we kind of just hard through the first 2 maps. Like we definitely could have won them. I mean, they ended up winning them. So it could have went either way, and I think we kind of slapped them the next 2 maps. And then our map 5, we didn't really play that map at all in scrims, so we kind of messed up with that because we didn't expect it to go to a map 5. So, yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Dante thinking that they threw the first 2 maps just a little bit and definitely think they can win today, but surprised that Florida Mayhem did end up picking them. And we were talking about this a little bit, Hex, before the show started, that, you know, you've already kind of prepped for the Outlaws if you're the Mayhem, right? You've already kind of prepped for that, so why not use that and then some more prepping for them in this week and in the knockout stage? Makes a whole lot of sense to me, although like you mentioned, Outlaws, they're not to be messed with, especially when Dante's on his A game.
No, it can definitely do a carry, but I mean, just some context. Florida was the 7th seed here, so they were the last to really pick. So they were picking between Dallas or Houston. And no knock against Houston, but you look at the Dallas team on paper and you're like, nah, because that's super scary. Decay could just win that game by himself. So let's not do that. Let's go against Houston. We played them close, but I think, you know, Florida is more comfortable with that. And let's take a look at the Florida Mayhem starters here.
Oh,
or are
yes,
we doing Houston first?
We're doing Mayhem. We're doing Mayhem now.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed
it.
it.
It's fine. Fate and Gargoyle on the tank role. Chris and obviously Gangnam Jim, and then look who it is on DPS. Dante's arch nemesis at this point in Yaki. Yaki Tracer, please. Like, this is what we want to see. BQB, of course, on the Ashe role or the other hit scan role, I can imagine.
BQB Widow is looking pretty clean too, but I think if you look at these teams on paper and the DPS end up matching each other up, like kind of equalizing, which is possible if Linkser goes nuts, then I think Florida just has a little bit more talent on the off-tank position. I think Gargoyle is a guy that we talk about as a great Sigma, and Gangnam Jina on the flex support. And also, if we're playing a ton of Brigitte, there's no more experienced Brigitte in the league than Chris. He was playing it even before it was cool.
Yeah, and now Brig is really cool, and she's really good too, funnily enough. Yeah, Gannon Jim's definitely going to be the Ana. Oh, I hope so, at least, to help with the blades, but the Tracer 1v1 would also be pretty cool. Busan is going to be the first map up. This is Florida's pick, and then loser's pick as we do enter the series. If you've only just joined us, that is the rule set for the showdown. Loser picks the maps. And Busan and Control in general, Hex, you were saying a little to me in the break that Outlaws not too bad on Control.
No, Outlaws actually have a pretty decent win rate on most control maps, whereas Florida, this is their map choice, this is the only control map they have a positive win rate on. I think it's like 56%. Their next closest is like 39, and it falls off really close after that. So Florida picking to their strengths here. Houston, oddly enough, I was looking at them, like they win a lot of control maps. For a team that you think has been struggling all year, are able to pull pretty even in control. Maybe a lot of that is just Dante going nuts. But the Outlaws have made a lot of changes this year. The support lines have gone in and out. Sometimes you see Rockets come in. Hydration is now the main tank for the Houston Outlaws, which I don't know if anyone's expecting necessarily at the beginning of the year. Had played some the prior year, played a little bit of Orisa. We'll see what these teams want to run. I would not be stunned if Florida just straight up runs this Widowmaker. BQB had some great performances on this Widow, and yeah, it opens up a lot of space for Yaki if Yaki's going to run Tracer. Yeah, so we'll see what these teams want to run. I don't think either team's going to run a Symmetra. You can see Symmetra on some maps. This stage isn't really one of them.
Yes, I was just in my head. I'm thinking Sim, and how do the turrets interact with the up and downy things?
Yeah,
Links are on Widow. Okay, I don't. Enough of the uppy downy things. No, they don't. I'm pretty sure they just fall to the ground. I'm 99% sure that's how that works. Okay, I was just about to say, Links, I think you should get on the Ashe, actually, as he headshots Yaki, as Yaki was not even looking at him. And now look at this push from
single player.
The Mayhem right now. I mean, they're pushing around, so Links just gets the perfect sightline onto their temples and ends up taking out 2 people. And you don't normally see the Widowmaker on this map, Hex, either, because there's a lot of walls and a lot of places where you can kind of hide behind to get the... And it's so good for Ashe because you can get the dynamite over them, but Links are being Links. Nah, just play Widowmaker, man.
But I think if you're going to run Widow, you run that exact same angle there. And the moment he took out Yaki, it was just a rail shooter. There's no one that's going to be able to come over and pressure him.
Shooter.
Yeah, he just gets to sit there and just watch all the ducks come in a row. Nice eat. Cargo is so good.
There we go. Nice. First cap, of course, was on the Outlaws. They do have Flux too. Oh, Dante goes down to BQB of all people. Mother got double shot there by accident. Dynamite over the top through the window. That's so much damage. Immortality Field's going to save them for the time being, but you can see Hydration kind of pushing into them as Meko did end up backing out of this one. Yeah, there's no way they don't win this. Like, Links, he's on the Widow, but he has no HP, and Yaki does end up chasing him down. He's getting chasing down himself at the moment. 14 HP, turns to 0 as Dante finds the kill. But you can see the Florida Mayhem have set up a nice little egg dome to kind of encapsulate themselves, and then they will kind of crack out of it to make sure they can kill off Repel. They do just that, and they do end up securing the point.
I've called it the clamshell before, but I like the egg. That's pretty nice.
The egg. Reminds me of Josh's head. An egg.
Hey, don't make me lose my appetite for eggs. They're a delicious source of protein.
You saying Josh makes you lose your appetite? I was pulling a funny, and I think you turned it too serious, X. Well, pulse bomb for Yaki, maybe on the back. They are trying to push up onto high ground. Lynx is still on this Widowmaker, and I think Yaki's just playing this position to make sure he can check Lynxer, who has got the sights online soon. There you go, that's exactly what he was looking for. Dante finds 2 with the pulse bomb, though, in the back. Fate and Gangnam Jim bite the dust. And now Outlaws, all they need to do is win their war of attrition. Repel even uses the window. I mean, you might as well. Yaki finds the pulse bomb kill. Can he clutch it out by himself? No recall now, and Dante can take the duel as the Outlaws do end up rotating to the point.
Yeah, maybe just going to try to stall here. Actually, just trying to get out with his life, if at all possible. It does do just that. And we are evened up now, but Houston is in control of the point. They will be counting up a little bit faster. Lynxer's got sights, so this has to really scare BQB and Yaki. You can't really dance around now. And Florida, I mean, you want to wait this out, but sights, it's a while to wait out. So they might just rotate and try a different angle here. You can't really pop in.
I think they're
just going to wait it out.
Yeah. I mean,
such a long time, though, it feels. It hurts to wait that out.
It does. You see Yaki as well, not even attempting to go for the flank. All damage boosted, one shot to the body, scoped in will kill Dante. He has to be careful. He's dicing with death there for a moment. Dynamite's also going to do a fair bit of damage. Immortality Field's going to save him. Healing as well, is doing a lot of work. However, that window is pretty well placed, I think. Outlaws had to back off there. They wanted to kind of push in where the Immortality Field went down, but the window stopped them from doing that. And now Hydration is going on the flank. You're not a Tracer, my son. You've got 4 legs and you're very slow. Repel and Jexay also fall as the Florida Mayhem now are going to be able to take control of the point. But the Outlaws are 1 fight away now, 99%. As OT just ticks on your screen.
At 99, but not a whole lot to work with. Maybe a Pulse Bomb. The rally's going to be faster than Florida's as well. Speaking of Pulse Bombs, Yaki's got one lined up here, and Gargoyle will be able to near his Flux. So Florida has to win 2 fights. Houston has to win 1. Houston does have the option of just kind of rushing in with their support ultimates.
Oh, nope. Denied by the Immortality Field. It was pretty good. Oh, the stun onto Dante as he recalled back into it. Headshot by BQB. Yaki does trade it out, though. Still a good look for the Mayhem, however, as they do have the Flux available. Bob gets sent out by BQB, ends Repel's life, and that window isn't going to do too much for your Hydration, unfortunately. Dragged back into his demise as Gargoyle holds on to this Flux for this final fight.
Yeah, because Gargoyle doesn't need his Flux to eliminate people. It's rocks, hits spheres constantly, and now the moment they show their face, he can Flux the entire team, but it looks like Houston's going to go for a little bit of a spread approach just to be able to touch, so Hydration is off the Orisa, going to go to Ball. Going to have clutch kills here. Maybe Linkser can come up big with eyes when they come up, but Florida has the ults to work with.
Oh, the perfect Flux and grab as well. Repel falls, and they're just chasing out Meko. He ain't stopping just yet as they do end up rotating to point. Outlaws are contesting, but yeah, it's Linkser versus the world now as Dante ends up falling over. Yaki as well, lobbing the pulse bomb in. That's a 3K. Oh, Linkser. Oh, he's jumping back up. Oh, and he's jumping back down again. Goodbye, Linkser. Oh, well, at least he made it funny when they do end up losing the point. Florida Mayhem claiming the first stage.
I mean, this Florida team, when they first started performing really well, and everyone's like, what's the reason they're performing well? I was like, well, Yaki's doing this, BQB's doing this, the support line's doing that. So, I mean, that week, I think I was going to do a Yaki episode, and people are like, well, what about Gargoyle? Well, what about Gangnam Jin? I'm like, yes, good teams have several good players, but really, I think...
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, but... God, Gargoyle seems to stand out in every single one of these Florida games. There are games where BQB is fine, Yaki's fine, they don't have the carry pants, but if you look at the consistent Sigma play of Gargoyle over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, just as far back as you want to go, it is up there at the top of the league.
Yeah, well, along with people like Krong.
Oh, I love Krong. It's one of my favorite names in the league, too.
Krong with the 0, too. Oh, PQB on the Widow.
Well, that's Linkser.
Yes, it is elite speak, yeah, that's true.
So Sparkle. Got a couple of them in the league.
Pretty elite level players, pretty elite. God,
okay, well,
remember when that was a thing? Just like in like
Hydration.
Normalcy.
Hydration.
His very large head was peeking above the shield, and that's a mistake. Yaki ends up drilling it with a load of bullets, and now Outlaws are even split off it.
He got dinked early and then still started pushing the issue. So Hydration goes down very quickly, and that's a halt that you'd like to have. It's a big body that you'd like to push on the point.
He's out on
Florida
ball.
Already at 20.
Does he stay on ball? No, he's actually going to switch over. He tried to get back to the team fight. Someone got pushed off. Oh, it was Repel. A nice little shift kill for Chris and Environmental, and Outlaws. They're going to need to regroup as 6 here. They keep going in 5v6 or attempting to start an engagement. Normally you can do that with a Widowmaker if she managed to pick someone off, but Linkser hasn't quite yet found an angle, and you can tell Florida Mayhem really respecting Linkser in the way they're holding up into this small room at the top here.
Yeah, I think that was the game plan early for the Outlaws, is to take that room, put shields down in front of it, and let Linkser just try to find sight lines, but again, losing Hydration that early really stifled that plan. Now, Houston just comes in on the low grounds. No pulse there.
God, that was very good by Yaki there, just kind of waiting. He knew the Eat was going to come out eventually. Nice little stick from Dante. Doesn't result in a kill just yet. A lot of healing as well as that shift from Orisa giving her damage resistance. Dante goes low as he has to recall and now spots Yaki on the flank. Still trying to deal with Linkser. You can see Linkser playing a little bit scared as well. Flux up into the skies. No Immortality Field in sight. And now the Mayhem is sent back to their spawn as Outlaws do manage to take the point at 74% on the other side. So not the worst thing in the world. They can definitely get a re-engagement if Mayhem do end up capping again.
And Linkser's Infrasight's going to slow this down a little bit too, because Florida's going to have to move very methodically behind the double shields, maybe even leapfrogging it, because Gargoyle can put a shield in front of Fates, wait for the cooldown, and then do that, because you don't want to be caught out in no man's land, especially now that there's Infrasights going on. Florida is going to have tank ultimates and a rally, so they can afford to wait this out. At 74%, that's close to a single fight win away, because Houston coming back is likely going to have to switch heroes, and it's going to be a non-optimal fight. Linkser.
Always full of BM. Always full of BM.
Someone asked why do pros always wave and spam sprays? I don't know.
Ice spam spray. Dude, it's such a silly habit that I think every Overwatch player does, is like look down, spam spray, look down, spam spray, look down, spam spray. It's so silly. It's just ingrained into every Overwatch player now.
He's got this really far angle.
Nice at going to Lynx. Yeah,
now he doesn't have to worry.
No, I mean, neither do the rest of the Outlaws, to be fair. With the Gang and Jim falling, there's almost no healing available unless they really want to go in with this with the rally. 70% in building now for the Outlaws as BQB does end up finding Jexay. But is it actually worth it in the end? I'm not entirely sure. Gargoyle was coming to this one with the Flux, but he's also in no man's land, really. Even the rally kind of backing him up, and the Mayhem right now are split. They're actually closer to Outlaws spawn than they are their own. The Rock will end up killing off Dante, and being able to now push forward is going to be the key to success. However, Meko has the Flux. It's a very messy fight from both sides, as Mayhem actually end up finding the flip of all things.
Yeah, they got it early on, and now the Mayhem are going to have a rally of their own. They're just going to pop preemptively in the grab, try to close this out.
Are you going to be able to follow that up with any damage, though? Meko now ascending from the skies to try and finish off the person he did end up using the Flux on, but it wasn't quite successful, and now he's going to get surrounded upon. Beautiful shot from BQB, ending the life of Meko rather quickly, but Dante was there easily with the trade. Gargoyle's on the ball now to contest for some additional time as we see the 1v1 versus Dante and Yaki. Yaki, I think he has recall as well, so he's going to be more than safe. An easy 2-3-5 clip for Yaki as Gargoyle slams back down on the backline, kills off Linksa. OT is ticking down as the Mayhem do control the point with the rally going off as well. It's going to be a hard-fought fight for the Outlaws to win. Hydration and Repel fall. It's only the ball to deal with now. It's going to tick down, and Mayhem should just be able to claim it. Easy as that. 2 stages on Busan. Nets them the map victory.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was once too often, and even there at the very end, yes, several of the members of Houston had fallen, but Hydration found himself very alone, and in those times that it didn't result in kills, it still resulted in a lot of healing having to be pumped into him, sometimes even the window being dropped for healing just to go through the window, and usually you want to use the amplification matrix to try to put some damage down. But Florida able to get those picks at the end when it was getting very scrappy. I think the winner of that Tracer duel was likely going to win the fight. Hydration, the last one on the point. The first to die in that one, the last to die. And the Houston Outlaws go down 0-1 to the Florida Mayhem early in our Summer Showdown bracket.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy too, because they were actually chasing Gargoyle for the majority of that, which is what the camera was on. It was like, okay, so we have to kill him. He's off to the side. He hasn't got Flux. He doesn't have Rock. Like, we got to kill him right now, and then we can push on to the point. But all meanwhile, Fate was kind of sitting there with Supercharger on point, taking it, and then they flipped.
And Hydration was charging up very quickly. I watched him go from like 70% to 95 on that Supercharger, and I thought if the team could just rotate around him, he was sitting in Immortality Field at the time. And he came out of Immortality Field still pretty low, died with Supercharger up. You never really want to die with ults up, but I don't think that would have changed their fate at all. Yeah, the Houston Outlaws wasn't completely one-sided, but right now Florida looked like the better squad.
Well, that might change later down the lines. Remember, almost a reverse sweep was achieved by the Outlaws. It is absolutely possible. We're going to jump to map number 2. It's going to be the Outlaws pick. We'll see you there.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. the Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Game, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
휴스턴전에서 겐지를 꺼내든 이유는 겐지가 버프가 되기도 했고 스크림에서 써봤는데 성적도 나쁘지 않아가지고 써봤고요. 이번 주에는 좀 다른 걸 해볼 것 같아요. 좀 비밀이지만. 감사드립니다.
We got a mystery afoot, I think. Yaki saying they got some secret strats they want to pull out. I want to know what it's going to be. Maybe a Doomfist? Maybe an Echo? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here during break like, run Bastion, you cowards.
Run Bastion, no turret form. Use only warp mode.
I was talking about how I like playing Bastion without turret form. But okay, so let's talk about the map pick here. It is going to be Houston's map pick. That's our format loser picks, not winner picks if you want to be polite about it. I don't feel like being polite today. And it's going to be Blizzard World, which is our hybrid map. A little bit interesting because Kings Row is in the pool, and Houston is actually a very good 15-8 on Kings Row, according to the numbers I have here, and only 8-9 on Blizzard World. So it's an interesting pick. We'll see if they have a set pocket strategy or if it's just that they want to run Linkser on Widow. Blizzard World's definitely better for Widow than Kings Row, so that may be playing into it.
Yeah, I love the Widow on offense. I think it's really good if you can kind of take the high ground on the right-hand side, but on defense I find it a little bit more situational, because if they have a flanker, if they have Genji, it's just so much more difficult, because the ideal situation and the ideal spot for you to be in is on that right hand side with the little little roller coaster card things, or the back on the very back on top of the point where the point actually comes out from. But it's just so close that I think you just run an Ashe. They're obviously not subbing anybody out. We're still seeing Linkser and Dante in, so I want to see Linkser on offense play Widow and then defense play the Ashe. And then when you reach second point, and then you can switch over to Widow, because you can basically spawn camp people if you're on the offense.
Well, I mean, I think you're going to see Houston always prefer to try to run like a Tracer Ashe or a Widow Tracer, because I just don't really feel the Genji play on their team. I mean, Linkser used to play Genji. I believe Dante can play almost anything. Got the faith in him. But, I mean, I don't know if it matches up well against Yaki's Genji. So I think that maybe coming into the map picks, too, is like Blizzard World is a little wide open. Your hitscan can do a lot against the Genji. So maybe that's the map pick. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason other than our scrim results are really good on this map lately. I feel it more in some of the wins that you have earlier in the year on maps. Not ideal.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, you can't always go off scrim results, that's for sure. We're actually talking about that as well. Scrim bucks.
Yeah, these are all-time results. I don't know why I'm looking at all-time map results.
Apparently Mitch is undefeated in scrims as well, by the way. I'm just going to put that
I had the wrong tab open. So Blizzard World, they're 2-1 on. Kings Row, they're 1-3. But all-time, they're really good at Kings Row.
Good map. Favorite map.
Yeah,
right?
Sorry, I meant to clear that up. I was on the wrong tab.
TP away. That's okay. All is forgiven, Hex. Looks like Linkser is running out on the Ashe instead of the Widowmaker. Also a pretty good choice, especially since everybody's huddled around this point too, around this little corner, so the Dynamites are just kind of disgusting. You can see just here. Oh, actually missed the shot. Unfortunate. It didn't even get eaten either. It just kind of sailed over everybody and landed in the ocean where it probably diffused. Oh. Ooh, man. He was surfing there for a little bit.
Good thing he's got the grasp.
We have seen this a couple of times where a tank has been pulled over the top. It is awful to kind of deal with. Speaking of awful to deal with, Yaki with the armor in the back line. He's doing a whole bunch of damage. You can see him kind of trying focusing out and getting the immortality down first, which is exactly what's happened, but Gangnam Jim's also used his as well. Dante trying to do the same thing, a little bit unsuccessful though, as Mayhem do out-rotate themselves almost, as Repel and Hydration have made their way onto the point and put the window down. A big rotation for Florida though, as they've rotated straight onto the back line of Outlaws now, as Dante ends up falling. The Bob's going to provide adequate pressure though for the Outlaws to push maybe onto the point, however not quite being in range to actually score anybody and break the shields when they're holding close. Rally coming forward as well for the Outlaws as GXA steamrolls forward straight into the enemy team, swinging away. Gargoyle does manage to block off the rock. Unlucky for Meko, but the rest of his team are all split off and Gargoyle's left alone to defend himself and the point on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to get in here now. I thought BKB was going to be able to bring that one back early, but for whatever reason, Linkser got out of there alive after he had used his Bob. He rotates back to his Bob, which is, you know, your one-man cover if you should so need it. And yeah, the Flux early on from Florida tried to bring it back. It got people down to half health, but not able to get the finishing blows there. Outlaws now going to try to take this high ground, exactly where you want to be on offense. But Florida looks pretty entrenched right now.
Oh, they're destroying the probes.
Just take free push.
Oh. You must construct additional pylons, well, probes in this case. God, I love this map. This map is so cool. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite maps. To play the third point, I hate playing the third point on offense, but this map is just so sick. It's also got a shark in it, which is definitely an ode to me, just saying. Even though I definitely wasn't known by the devs at that point when this map was out. But there it is. I'm going to claim it as my own. Meko has the Flux now available, so he can just flux people off of the high ground here. High ground, sorry, the Supercharge has also been used by Hydration fairly early. There's the Hulk, there's the Flux. Hydration already ends up falling down, and BQB with the sickest angle. Look at that small little gap is going to be able to check not only the people down the floor, but the Outlaws DPS who are trying to get out on the high ground.
Yeah, can they escape is the question, and now you might be able to get a halt here and get Repel. Has to use Immortality Fields.
He gets out just in time. That would have been a horrible stagger as well, actually.
Alright, so BQB in the spot that you want to be, always going to have Bob available to him. Linkser will have a Bob of his own, perhaps with a Bob battle, a Bobble if you will. And Gargoyle, another Flux. So the Flux into just anything is really good that pulls him out of Immortality Field. Bob sent in from Houston.
Oh, Pulse, that is big damage on Meko. Immortality Field just managed to save him though, and instantly killed was the Bob. Wow, it melted. Kind of Jim. Using Window as well to stop the advance of the Outlaws. Dante was trying to find the back caps, only a couple of meters from actually touching the last point, but he is dealt with by the Bob, of all things. Now Yaki in the back, knowing Immortality Field is down, can kind of pepper away for free. Links are a little bit late on the rotation, as Gargoyle ends up finishing him off. Yaki, 8 HP, how does he survive that? Oh my goodness. Mayhem managed to bundle on top of him as well to make sure he was alive for the longest possible opportunity.
Well, he got the lamp thrown over him, able to live in the light there, and then the rest of Florida just collapses on Houston. Houston sees an alone Yaki and thinks they're going to have a kill. Dante going for the back cap again, trying to sneak around at the very least, but Yaki's got him checked.
He did force the recall. Surprised Yaki didn't recall to get back on high ground there, but he has got Pulse Bomb, so doesn't want to blow recall just yet. Different approach for the Outlaws, Hex, this time around. They're taking the low ground instead. Up to the high ground. They push up with Rally and Window.
Not getting blocked out, so
now Gargoyle is such a good opportunity here, though. The car has been moved back a fair bit too. Pulse Bomb in the back. Immortality Field. Oh, just went down in time. That would have scored both Repel and Linkser if they weren't careful. There's the Rally. Everybody stocked up in armor. Hydration about 1 billion health currently. Dante has been stuck up into the high ground. Oh no, he sticks Fate even down the low ground, gets taken out by BQB in the process though, as they were all fluxed up in the air by Gargoyle. A late rally for the Mayhem, just making sure everybody stays alive, and BQB once again, unhindered by the Outlaws, he's able to get away with everything for free, Hex. There's no one dislodging him from this position.
I mean, it just happens as soon as Houston loses one, they lose all sense of composure and teamwork. Jexy gets completely siphoned off from the other part of his team, which leaves Hydration all alone as he tries to back up. And Florida can just pick their poison at that point. It's like, oh, who's the easier target? Let's walk through the shield of Hydration, take him out, and Jexy had to completely abandon it. So once these get down to 4v4s and 3v3s, Houston's just all over the place. They're not staying together. They're not helping each other, where we've seen Florida kind of coalesces as a team, and they start helping each other when they're in these odd fight situations. Dante pressuring Card again.
Wow, nice angle again from BQB, changing up this time around. Not sitting far at the back. He's going to be so careful. Now Bomb on the point. There's the bobble you were talking about, but look at the bomb from Linkser. It's just almost instantly killed. BQBs end up going down first, but Repel falling is kind of disaster. Outlaws need to end this fight right here, right now, otherwise they're not going to have enough healing to see themselves through the next 20 or 30 seconds or so. Speaking of time, 20 seconds remains before they can actually get back to this payload. Florida Mayhem are going to be told if the Outlaws aren't careful.
Meko and Repel have to live.
He goes down, he has Flux too, he might be able to get back in time. If I was Jexy at this point, I would just speed him back on the Lucio, because it's going to be up to Dante now to try and touch and actually cause OT. And he's in the back, he's going to get checked. Dante's dice of a death. Look, He's actually on the point now. Yeah, Aki's going to beat him just in case. Mecha comes back and available with the Flux, but Gargo hits it first, and Repel is sent so far up in the air he can't receive any healing. BQB ends up taking him out. Dante even dies to Gangnam Jim, and now BQB's in a situation where he can just fire and rain death from above. There's nothing the Outlaws can do. Gangnam Jim even has window available to them as well. Outlaws are going to get held just before this second point. Dante tries so hard to cause a C9 for Mayhem, but to little to no avail. And I gotta put it on BQB staying alive, Hex, for so long. There was so many positions he was in where it felt like Outlaws could jump on him and actually take him out, or at least force him out from that spot, because he was getting infinitely more damage done than Linkzr, it felt like. The Bobs were fairly decent for both. In fact, most of the time it did end up being a Bob v Bob, but BQB being left alone like that, you can't let that happen. You got to deal with Yaki, yes, but you've got to check him some way, because that dynamite damage is just so good at trying to force out cooldowns like Immortality Field, and even the shift on the BAP as well to heal himself.
Yeah, but what Florida did really well to prevent that from happening is completely cut off any of the angles that Dante could have taken to get to the back. Most of Florida was looking at top left whenever Houston was trying to go high ground, but the bottom right from the defender's perspective in that small pack room where we saw Yaki get supported by his team was where Dante kept trying to come from and try to get to the cart and try to get there, but he would just be out of blinks if you tried to get back to where BQB was. Also, BQB finding a lot of really creative angles, and for the most part, when fights just started getting scrappy, Florida was the one that had the teamwork to be able to pull off those 4v3s, those 3v4s, whereas Houston kind of just didn't have the coordination there. And a lot of times you just see tanks at half health, low health, all dying when they need to stay alive. Meko and Hydration died when they needed to stay alive, and it was just rough. Florida looking to go up 2-0 if they can get to second point of Blizzard World.
I'm just going to harp on about it, but hey, Outlaws reverse sweep.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, you were right, though. BQB has about 1,000 more damage than Linkzr, and they both played Ashe mostly 100% of the time.
It does make a whole lot of sense. On defense, you're more than likely to get more damage, but it's still 1,000 damage is a little bit ridiculous, to be honest. Oof, that's a bad start. Linkzr on the flank with the help of Dante. Did manage to find, not only Chris, but Gangnam Jin. Yeah, he heard you, Hex, I think. I was like, no, actually, I'm the Ashe player. 3 kills for Linkzr, in fact.
Yeah, it's only at 700 behind now.
Okay, let's keep track of that. Every
damage
time
per 10. He's actually, he's only 500 behind overall damage.
Not bad. Good start. Does mean Chris and Gangnam Jin also got no ult charge for that. You can see Repel is going to have window for this fight. And Matrix, especially when placed on the corner, if you're Florida, you either back off really fast or try and push through it, but more often than not, it's a back off and just wait.
Yeah, it can feel like a really hard first point to push, because you want to go this left side here, try to set up near the point, but when you have Dante on the field, nice job by Yaki. Check that corner.
Yeah, Dante got packed as well, actually, so he was more than okay to take the 1v1, but now he might be in a little bit of trouble. You can see him dropping to sub 100 HP. Just one body shot from the Ashe if he's not careful. Faye's going to go down pretty low as well. Bob fairly early, although pressure is good. That is the best thing you can do right now, is send that Bob in earlier on. BQB is left unimpeded in this side room. As I say that, as Meko does match him eventually, because he did manage to find one, but it's not going to result in all of anything, as the tank line from the Florida Mayhem does crumble.
Try to reset here if you can't get out. Chris might end up dying here. He does just that. Jin will go with him. Florida has to go back to the drawing board here. You would love to get out if you're Gargoyle, but would also love to hit him with a rock in the face if you're Meko. So Florida all the way back to the drawing board, but Houston used a couple of ults there. They're going to have Rally, which is nice. I don't know. Yeah, Yaki maybe going a little too deep there. All right, so Florida on their way in, they can do a Bob and a Grav Flux to open it up, and that is going to create a ton more space.
What was Linkzr doing? I think he was trying to get high ground like ASAP. He did not expect BQB to be back so quickly. Linkzr wasn't even looking at that direction. They got to go right now.
Because Linkzr's going to respawn and he's long sight lines. They're going to put Bob on the other angle.
Oh, I like it. He gets pushed behind the car, though. That kind of sucks. Immortality Field will go down, though, for Gangnam Jin. They're going to have to play this a little bit more safe, I must say, but BQB on the back gets tagged up by Linkzr, gets his revenge with the help of Repel. They do manage to flux Hydration, but later Immortality Field from the the Outlaws, sorry, does mean that they stay alive. And now Meko is caught between a rock and a hard pace, and Dante just taking advantage of that, making sure that Chris knows where he stands, and that's in the spawn for the Mayhem. Krista going down to the pulse bomb, and now Hex only 50 seconds does
They're trying
remain.
to leave again. They're trying to leave again because they absolutely can't do anything right now. Supercharger and pulse bomb are all they're going to have to be able to push this next one. But Houston can just drop this window where whatever angle Florida takes, you just put the window down near it, and then they have to wait it out, and they barely have enough time to be able to do that. We shall see. BQB and Lynx are head-to-head in the Bob matchup. Florida, last best gasp. Yaki has been really, really trying to check Dante. He's going after him a lot of the times. This might be time for Yaki to switch modes on Tracer and go for this ground Tracer, stick with shields, and you got to hit the Pulse Bomb combo. Obviously, you'd like to get the lamp out first. But there's that window.
Oh, the Pulse Bomb from Dante only nets him the Supercharger, but still not bad. Flank. Someone still has to touch here, mind you. It's going to be Yaki. He throws the Pulse Bomb in too. He lobs that a mile. Manages to stick and only kill the Immortality kill, but it's a good start. Gargoyle going down is not good for Mayhem, however, as the Bob is on the point, just getting roasted by Hydration. Flux up into the skies as well. This is actually perfect ult management too from the Outlaws. They've got everything and then some to deal with the oncoming assault from the Mayhem. This is it. It's all over already. The Mayhem just got out-ulted, out-rotated on Blizzard World first. You can see exactly why Outlaws wanted to pick this one. They tie the series up one apiece on what felt was a rather lackluster Blizzard World, to be honest with you, Hex. The Florida Mayhem, it felt like they were going in for fights, and then they just kind of died. And then they just reset, and then they died again. They got picked off, and then they staggered themselves. And it was just very slow grinding of the gears. But it was Outlaws' ultimate economy at the end of it that really did net them the win there. You saw at the end, and at the very end, they were able to use the Flux, and by that time, the Immortality Field had already came out, that had disappeared, Rally had already gone too. It was... Oh, it was just Mayhem just not looking like Mayhem, to be honest.
No, Flux forces the Orisa to end up using Halt just so that not everyone is yoinked off over the point, but then she's alone on the ground and they just go after that. So really nice defensive setup. I thought the Lynxer play was really, really good on the Ashe. It might be one of the reasons they picked this map is because it's a very good Ashe map and one of Lynxer's best heroes. And the Tracer battle left a little something to be desired. They were both just kind of keeping each other in check, but on the remaining 5 on the ground, Houston, definitely won that 5v5. The ultimates were spaced out better. The abilities were spaced out better. We got a match here, Jaws. We got a match.
Oh, yes, we do. Might not be the reverse sweep. Outlaws may be taking this on the next 2 maps. Tied up in the series, though, are the Mayhem and the Outlaws. We're going to jump to a quick break. Can Outlaws continue the steamroll? We'll have to wait and find out.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello and welcome to our game break presented by Cheezer Grooves, Zoe Custom Reinforce here at your service. And it's currently 1 apiece between the Houston Outlaws and the Florida Mayhem. I have to admit though, neither has inspired me quite a bit for this halftime. It's been a bit of a dreadful game, honestly. Not dreadful in terms of like they're playing awful. It's just it's dragging on. It feels slow. It doesn't feel very, I don't know, splashy. Hard to describe. Let's talk about the first map here. To me, just kind of looked like Outlaws got outplayed by the Mayhem, Costa.
Yeah, we went into this match, and when I saw that Houston Outlaws were going to try and mirror Florida at their own game, I got a little worried for them, and we saw that in the first map. It felt like Houston did have a couple of good moments and that kind of stuff, and they have been improving. You see that in their gameplay, but the Florida Mayhem just looked unstoppable. And I thought that going into the second map as well, you know, when we saw the Florida defense, I was like, oh, this is not going to be a close match for the Houston Outlaws if they keep trying to, you know, play their own game. But then we go to the offense of the Florida Mayhem and the defense of the Houston Outlaws, and it completely changed.
Yeah, it's just been a bit of a wild matchup so far, because I think going into this matchup, we did expect the Dante versus Yaki duel and how that was going to turn out on Tracer, but it's really been all about the teamwork, and it sounds really bland, and I think that's where you're coming from, Zoe. Because it all comes down to the teamwork, really, where the Florida Mayhem, they have a really good time spamming down shields, and that helps BQB pop off on the Ashe, and like, it's not as flashy. We're certainly lacking some nano blades in that regard, but the Florida Mayhem are proving that they're fundamentally a really good team, and the only real reason why the Houston Outlaws were able to hold it so good was because of Dante's Tracer being able to pop off like that on Point A Blizzard World. So the Houston Outlaws, I think they are suffering in terms of teamwork and chemistry compared to a tank line like Fate and Gargoyle, but they still have that wildcard factor when the players can individually pop off, and that's what Dante certainly did on Blizzard World. So this game is still on. We still have a match on our hands, despite the different approaches by both teams.
I do wonder though, what has changed? Mayhem looked incredible strong earlier on in the season, and I just feel like the last 1 or 2 weeks, not only did they look mortal, I feel like they lost a little bit of their spark. Is there anything you can point at?
I kind of want to talk about that one because that's a very good point. When they were at their highest, and when the Mayhem felt so dominant, is because no one else really played the Ashe Tracer back then. It was sort of like this weird thing where Mayhem was forcing Tracer when no one else was. But all of a sudden, everyone's doing that. It becomes the meta, and people start to work it out. And then all of a sudden, the effectiveness of the strategy that the Mayhem are employing is become common, and counters exist. So it's not as much, I would say, Florida getting worse. It's that everyone else is catching up to what they're doing.
Right. Well, let's take a look at our crunch time presented by Cheezer Grooves. What you got for us, Reinforce?
Well, it's not super exciting, I'll tell you that, Zoe.
Yay.
But I think it's hugely important to this match as well, that the defense that the Houston Outlaws were able to put through, and they did that on Point A of Blizzard World, and this is where they really started to shine, and now momentum is arguably in the Houston Outlaws' favor. So this Point A defense on the Blizzard World was huge for Houston in this series, and they now have an actual opportunity to beat the Florida Mayhem. Last week, they lost narrowly 2-3 scoreline against the Florida Mayhem. They weren't able to win out that control map. But now it's tied 1 apiece, and you've just fully held the Florida Mayhem on the Blizzard World. So this is now great for the Houston Outlaws, and you gotta give them credit for holding Point A. It's so difficult on Blizzard World, but they were able to do that, and that is going to be so important in the second half of this series. And the Houston Outlaws fans, I don't want to get you too excited, but there's a big chance you might actually win this match now. So
okay,
I'm excited.
Let's calm down a little bit, Johnny.
Let's not give them
hope.
Up to the hype.
Because, so we were looking at the stats actually of the first half of that Blizzard World, and we thought the stats was broken because of how little kills that the Houston Outlaws has. But no, it was actually how it was. But I agree with Johnny. all of a sudden the momentum's on your side. And that is so important. The confidence and the momentum is so important in Overwatch because it gives you that confidence to go for those plays. And you saw Linkzr and Dante going for those in that match. If they can keep that going, they have a chance. I'm not going to say they're going to win like Johnny, but they have a chance.
I'm not saying that either. They could.
I mean, you
It's an even
kind
matchup.
of
Game on.
strongly imply it, though. We are heading to Hanamura. This is the map pick for the Florida Mayhem. We're not going to see any substitutions from either side. Reinforce, what do you want to see from the Florida Mayhem on that map number 3?
You know, I actually just want to see more of the same, and I want to see Yaki pop off. Like, that's what it really comes down to, because I think that, okay, you're looking better fundamentally, and you have good teamwork going on, like you're spamming down shields, hitting these good tank ultimates as well. Now you just need Yaki to sort of pop off and shut down Dante, and that is going to be the big takeaway in this series. You can see the final blows so far on Tracer this match. Dante has the edge over there, but meanwhile Yaki is preferring the damage. So it is a pretty close match so far, and Yaki, I just want to see him demolish Dante, because if you do that, then you're going to take away Houston's
Well,
chances.
Costa,
That
some last
escalated
thoughts
quickly.
there. You were trying to, you know, get the Genji idea out there into the universe heading into this series. You think is that
Alright,
something
calm
we
down.
might see
Okay,
on Hanamura?
I'm putting my my analyst career on the line. I think one of the teams is going to play Genji in this match. I think Hanamura is a very Genji-orientated map. I think we're going to see it from someone.
Right on. Well, let's see if his prediction is coming true or not. We'll find out in just a second, heading over to Hanamura and once more handing it over to Joss and Hex.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Welcome back. Series now tied up 1-1. Is that full hold, by the way, of the Outlaws on Blizzard World? Didn't expect that one, Hex. Not going to lie to you. There were plenty of opportunities. I felt that Florida were going to be able to win that very early pick off onto Linkzr when he was trying to control high ground. It's like, wow, they didn't have an Ashe now. This is really good for us. There's not Dynamite incoming damage. But then Dante takes over the game. It really shows you how much the Outlaws have really improved, and the individual roles can really kind of set out to carry. I think Dante has come into his own in the last month or so, and Linkzr doing the same, being able to point and then click on people. Linkzr's speciality, finish gift to Finland's gift to esports, of course, and his Widowmaker's been obviously really good, and his Ashe has also been pretty sick up against BQB, who is definitely one of the hit scam players to look out for this season.
I think the meta just really suits them, especially when you have Tracer and Ashe, arguably the two best heroes for Linkzr and Dante combined. I think Hydration being able to play like 100% Orisa really helps when they have the double shield meta. So right now, I mean, we say this for a lot of teams, and sometimes it's true, sometimes we're just kind of filling time in the pregame, but Houston's been steadily improving. They really have, and I think a lot of it is having the consistent 6 in there, not really messing with things, figuring out, like, these are our guys, we're going to roll with them. The meta suits us very well. So really good job by Houston coming up, and playing a team like Florida close is not easy, and like I said, this is a rematch of almost a reverse sweep that Houston pulled off last week. Almost pulled off last week. It's close, but if you're Houston, you're used to heartbreak. And yeah, Florida needs to have a better response to this. Their response is going to be choosing the map as the losers of the previous map, and we are going to head to Hanamura, which is Florida's best control map, 3-2 on the season. Or not control,
Assault map, yeah. Speaking of Linkzr, let's jump to a quick showreel of what he's shown us this season already.
This is what I want to watch. Linkzr going to work. Oh, Linkzr, untouchable. Under a little bit of fire. Oh, it gets him mid-sleep dart. Your boy Linkzr looking for some dinkses.
And if you didn't know, you better remember, Linkzr is a hard carry.
Now Linkzr starting to fire up. Whoa, no! The heads are rolling, and Linkzr is delivering unbelievable Widowmaker performance from Linkzr.
Finland's gift to esports strikes again!
Well, there you go. That's what he can do. And now can he do it for the rest of the series? That's going to be the big question. Like you said, Hex, it was the choice of the Florida Mayhem to pick the map, and it's going to be Hanamura again. And what was in the pool for the Assault maps? Well, Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony. So it's not too much of a shot. We're probably going to see Hanamura quite a few more times in the Summer Showdown.
I think it was Volskaya and something else. But either way, it was Hanamura was their best map that's remaining in the pool, and you do have to work around those map pools. Yeah, but the Linkzr sizzle, it just reminds me of like so many. I've been casting Linkzr since the beginning of time, it feels like. A real throwback is Creation Esports, and then he joined Ninjas in Pajamas with all the fellows there, and then it was Team Giganti, and then he was Houston Outlaws. Like, he's just been around for such a long time, can be a streaky player, but look, in esports, if you're able to be on a professional level, highest level team for that long, you do have the skill to be there. So it's been 4+ years, I think, for Linkzr playing at the highest levels of Overwatch.
And he's still in it to win it, which is exactly what Houston Outlaws are looking for right now. Oh, it would have been pretty sick. I'm just saying, if Mayhem did end up winning that last map, and then Outlaws win this map, and then the next, and it would come down to 5 again. It would have been a mirror of what happened the other day, but not to be. Not thus far, anyway. Of course, we still have a couple of maps to go to decide the series.
Still got 5.
The Outlaws are. A quick pause, I believe. Okay, so there you go. Outlaws. Let's have a look at what they're currently running on defense, though. Linkzr on the Widow. Dante on the Genji.
That's the question mark I have going into this map, right? Is because we've seen Hanamura be dominated by Genjis last week and also this week at the same time. Do Houston have a Genji that can compete at the highest levels that you need? And I think Dante is capable of it. Linkzr used to be known for his Genji way back in the day, but obviously if you're going to run a long-range hit scan and a Genji, then Linkzr is going to be the one on that. So this is the small question mark. We all know what Dante can do on Tracer, right? God tier Tracer. We know what Dante can do on Sombra, a very, very talented Sombra. It's been a bit since we've seen the Genji, and I think right now there's some maps that you just kind of 100% have to run a Genji, Hanamura being one of them because you have to get in, and then the Blade is so good at the stairwell. So yeah, I'm going to get an answer to, is Dante's Genji as good as his other heroes?
Well, it does Chris might have having a couple of PC issues, but we should be back to normalcy very, very soon. Do not worry. But yeah, is it as good as his other heroes? Because I just love him on the Tracer, but like you said, I don't think Tracer is as effective as a Genji in this situation. Not with the flank routes being a little bit more dangerous on the defense, and there aren't too many, if at all. I mean, you can go over the big archway maybe, and then find a flank. But the reality is, you're not going to be standing there for a long amount of time, because as soon as your recall is kind of forced out, you end up having to run either all the way back to your team, like dashing through the enemy, or you have to kind of hang around and pick up the Mega Pack, wait for your recall to come back off cooldown, and then go in again. Tracer's not so great on this map. Long range hit scan can also be quite a nuisance to deal with, so the Genji does make sense. Oh, there we go, we're back in. Sweet.
Well, I mean, there's two spots in this map that I think you really have to have a Genji. It's defense on second point in that stairwell, because we've seen so many dashes go through and just get an enormous amount of ult charge, and then the Blade can be so good there, whereas a pulse bomb can be shut down with a single lamp. The Blade usually gets value still then. And then on offense, I think you need to pressure from your attacker's perspective, the left side window. That's where you generally see Genjis hanging out. They push down Sigmas or anyone who is going to be on the very top of that building over there. So it's a map that I think you almost must run a Genji on in certain situations at certain points. Florida might be proving me wrong, though, as it looks like right now they are running Ashe and Tracer. All right.
I think it's better on the offense, the Tracer, than it is on the defense. That's my...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because it's that weird conundrum where you can't do anything on the defense until the other team comes in. So you kind of almost have to lose position just to be effective.
Uncut for Yaki, so he can get a free entry. At least to the flank. It's going to be the point where Yaki just needs to basically sit up. I love the two-pronged attack, though, from the Outlaws. I love Meko and Sigma's just holding up on this high ground. It was actually forced out super early, and Lynx are taken to sub 10 HP as well. You have to back off to the Mega Pack, so he'll be inactive for quite a bit of time. Dante's not really been touched at all here. He managed to get whip-shotted off the high ground. I mean, now he's just attempting to look for some people coming through from the spawn. That's not going to happen. In fact, his tanks are going to go back to spawn. Gargoyle ends up taking out Meko, and BBQB taking out Dante. And you can see on the high ground, Rebel wondering what just happened as the rest of Florida Mayhem to find themselves on the point.
There's no way Repel gets out here, right? No, they're just playing with them.
Goodbye.
Lynxer will get a shot onto BQB, and now if they can stall this, BQB's going to have a terrible spawn. Just got the bad spawns.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to matter that much. Coach Code gives you a
kind of a longer walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would like to spawn right there with your team.
Because the assault changes. I'm trying to think of a world where before the assault, with the assault spawn changes, like how much of a nightmare that was to basically stagger yourself. Because you didn't get quick spawn. It was like, well, now it's 4v6 on the point. Right. Like, it was just so punishing to get killed late. But now it's not so much. Does mean BQB's kind of stagger there. Didn't really mean a whole bunch for the Mayhem.
Well, Yaki's sneaky plans are going to be uncovered too. You got to be really careful over here. You know there's infrasight. Yeah. So that stagger means even less because they're definitely going to wait for it.
Oh my god! And that is why he's been at the top of his game for 4 years, Hex. Right there. Nice little dash from Yaki. Tried to get the aerial kill on him, but ain't happening.
It's actually signature Lynxer of always being able to hit those close quarter shots of when he gets pressured down. He doesn't always have the giant 3Ks from long range where he's just going to town, but trying to pressure out Lynxer on the Widow is, do so at your own peril.
He's going to go for round 2, it looks like. Nice immo field. Double immo field, in fact, as Hydration also met them at the front lines to try and go melee mode in the Orisa. He's going to have a little bit of a problem now. Maybe trying to bait them in, though. Beautiful play from Dante. He does get rocked. No nano. He's taking a whole bunch of damage. Had to deflect most of that, but 1/3 kills. Oh, yes, sir. That will be Dante finding himself on the scoreboard, and that will be 4 minutes in the time back now for the Mayhem. They do manage to claim at least a tick and a bit, though.
Another departing shot. That looked like it was going all the way bad for Dante. Let's give Jexay a bunch of credit here for that rally that kept him alive, because Dante got stunned and he was getting real hurt. The final swipe gets 3. Not the prettiest blades, but it'll do just fine there. But now Florida in a good job, in a good position for this swing back here. They have both tank ultimates. Yaki still has his pulse bomb. They'd like to have Bob back, because Bob into Flux can be pretty nice. Drop him on the point and then launch people in the air. Let him get his auto cannon on. Let's see how Houston tries to respond to this. They only have the Flux. They're so far away from everything else.
Oh, that's a good hold. That's
Flux.
most people got up in the air. Yeah, look at that. You see the dash straight into, and then Jexay just runs forward. Like, he doesn't really mind about any of the damage because Repel was just pumping him for the heals. That was kind of a ridiculous series of events. Well, only one person didn't get thrown up in the air, but, you're going to throw yourself off the map to make sure you can reset quicker. That was absurd amount of damage. Another minute burned off, though, for the time back. Yeah. So Houston Outlaws on a good defense so far.
And it's a good use of just using, just a very minimal ults to get yourself towards other ults, because now Houston is going to have the infra sights. BQB has switched to Widow, but he's going to be a mile away from that ultimate. And then Dante can use the infra sights to line up a very good blade, too. So Houston now has DPS ults. After this fight, you'd imagine they should have support ultimates, too. Florida's still going to try to find purchase, try to find entry. You might just have to drop a window just to gain yourself space.
Oh. What? What is Dante doing? Why is he there? Well, he just chased down BQB. I mean, that's definitely why he was there. The question just kind of answers itself with the kill feed, but that's absurd. Dante is basically spawn camping at this point. He's going to rejoin the rest of his team as he does have Blade. They're going to wait for BQB. I feel like they have to, but... and also, okay, so he actually switches to Kree. He's had a kind of enough of this Widowmaker. Doesn't want to get jumped on by Dante yet again. Yaki with the pulse bomb in the front line. Doesn't quite find anything. But that Flux definitely will. The blade in the back though for Dante, who received armor, but that Immortality Field doing so much work. Deflect damage. Doing absolutely nothing because of the heals. Dante's blade a little bit blunt this time around, as now he's just trying to build up another one and trying to escape the frontline battle. Mayhem have eventually taken this high ground. Yaki taking a bit more of a high ground there. Now they're rotating back towards their spawn. Window's going to come through as well, but that is a big Flux up on top. Gargoyle receiving a ton of personal shields, though. He was able to fend off Dante long enough for Chris to actually secure the kill. 1 minute and 20 seconds does remain. BQB is on the flank with Yaki. Can they get to the point in time? They still have to deal with Linkser, but Linkser is now an extremely bad angle to try and deal with anybody on the point. Has to kind of expose himself to do so. Supercharger now being put down by the Florida Mayhem to push themselves through this small choke. There's the Flux up in the skies. Now it's up to Linkser to try and click some heads. Couldn't quite find it in time as Hydration stalls out the point for a little bit longer, but Yaki is trying to deal with him. He ends up getting taken out in the end, but it's going to be good enough to kill off Hydration. Dante comes in with the blade, but BQB finishes him off, and they manage to get the second point with just under a minute to spare.
Super patient final push by the Florida Mayhem, and it was just the tanks and supports on the right-hand side. So many times the Outlaws thought they were coming down those stairs. The Flux came out with a great deal of healing from the Florida Mayhem, and then Houston rallied to try to chase them down, and instead of holding their ground, Florida Mayhem backed up the stairs, waited it out, and were able to gain enough percentage on their own ultimates to be able to push back into that. They won the battle over on that side. Linkser completely non-effective there, and then the McCree on the cleanup late. Very, very patient push for the Florida Mayhem, and those tanks and supports really earned it over there.
It was almost kind of a miracle, really, is how they survived without both their DPS being in the stairwell as well, but that was really just down to Dante not being able to do damage because there's two shields in the way, and Linkser actually just being on the Widowmaker, so it was really a tank support versus tank support battle. Dante could do a tiny bit, but not as much, obviously, as he'd like to, because the double layering of shields up in that small corridor does so much work.
Yeah.
I bet he wished he popped Blade a little bit sooner, that is for sure. People would have gone down rather fast, like we saw earlier.
Well, and then Linkser just sat in the corner just shooting at shields, and, you know,
yeah.
If you try to go right side, you know that both of the DPS are over there, and as good as Linkser is, you're not going to win a 2v1 versus a McCree and Tracer as Widow. Likely just never going to happen. Now the Outlaws have to match this, or they will go down 0-2 and be put on match points. Offensively, they are going to run the Genji and Widow, and Yaki now on the Mei. Perhaps this was the surprise he was talking about. Not super unorthodox, as we've seen defensive Mei on this point before, but
yeah, when I hear that, I expect something truly wacky.
Yeah, I expect cheese. Want some fine brie.
Mad cheese. free. Ooh, cheese. It's one of the things I do miss about living in Ukraine, is the cheese. Anyway, after that, Dante ends up getting taken down. BQB just sitting at the front line. That's a beautiful wall to kind of separate people, and you can throw Dynamite straight over. Boom. Bob's your uncle, and well, Bob will be BQB's uncle, and soon, as he's got 67% towards that ult already.
I haven't heard that phrase in a long time. Bob's your uncle. I like it.
My grandparents say it all the time.
Yeah, it's a very old-timey phrase. I don't even know what it's meant to mean, but in the context of Overwatch, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Bob's everybody's uncle.
Oh. Separated the Brigitte.
Yeah, should be able to get through all rather easily, though. They don't want to lose this frontline duel. This is the problem, and BQB will have the Bob. 90% online already, but Gargoyle and Fate end up going down to Hydration and Jexay. Dante gets frozen on the side, but he received armor, and in fact, it's a 3v1 against the Mei. Yeah, that's how you deal with the Mei. Camp the ice block, and that'll be first point taken by the Outlaws, unless Florida find a miracle, but I don't think they're going to be able to get back in time. Not with Fate and Gargoyle without Lucio, so a lot of time now in the time bank for the Outlaws to push the second point.
Yeah, you would expect the Outlaws to open with Blade here or Flux, one of the two to go in there, and Chris has to be in position with his team early on to get enough damage and healing done so that he can get to Rally. Rally is going to be their best option for defending against the Blade, although a Bob can do good work. Yaki nearing Blizzard too, so though Florida lost the first point, it wasn't completely one-sided, so they're going to have responsive ultimates, but 5 minutes in the bank for the Houston Outlaws to try to finish out this map, and they take a really cool angle. They go bottom, and they're just going to set up on the point.
Yeah, they want to avoid that Blizzard is what they want to do. That was a rock onto Yaki. He tried to get down onto the point, but was quite unlucky with it. Dante has the Blade, has already used that deflect to try and get some more space. Can't quite find any damage at all, it seemed like, as the Rally is now out for Chris. There's the Flux of the Outlaws too. Meko's going to not be stunned out of it, as they ended up killing off Chris. The perfect pick, as that armor's now not going to be stacking up, and Outlaws take 2 ticks on the point. Gargoyle's up on the high ground, but needs to be able to touch in time, and he doesn't. 4 minutes and 28 seconds for the Outlaws on their next attack versus Florida's 1 minute. That was a really nice adaptation of how you want to attack that point, because they knew the Mei existed on high ground. You know they're going to Blizzard you in that stairwell, so you just take the low and then get onto the point ASAP, kind of catch them unawares too, because Florida Mayhem can't rotate quick enough X because they don't have the Lucio, so Outlaws are able to set up almost for free.
And everyone expects that's where you're going to attack. Like Hanamura, 99% of the attacks come from the top right, from the attacker's perspective. So you're just waiting for it. You're going to have your perfect ultimates there. And yeah, you're right, the rotations weren't there, but also the Outlaws did a great job of forcing people into terrible spots. Like I believe Gangnam Jin got pushed down to the bottom left by Meko. Then Meko was just chasing people down on the flanks. Meko has just been picking out duels, and Florida's all over the place. Meko's able to pick them off one by one. The Houston tanks have been actually pretty solid. That first offense, they're able to separate, get the shields in the correct placements, and to separate off the Florida tanks. And Florida right now, it seems like they just need to play a little closer together. You think about Yaki getting caught out a little earlier as he was trying to chase Genji, and then that final defense just fell apart because no rotation and then just picked off. Really nice little gambit from Houston, though, to take that first push and go bottom with it. I liked it.
Now the Florida may have a 1 push available to them. BQB staying on the sim.
Yeah, Telly to point. This is the Matt Morello special.
Yeah, there it is. Telly's to point, but Matt actually stays behind most of the time and baits the rest of his team. That's the true Matt Morello special. Turret's now set up. They're going to be destroyed so quickly, though, which is going to be the issue, but getting Yaki to wall people off is going to be the name of the game. Nice little hold and a 2-pronged attack from the Outlaws too, sending Orisa one way and then have Sigma block the other way. They are going to give up a tick, however. Dante's going to be the best one to kind of touch the point and just keep touching to make sure it stays in contestation. BQB ends up falling to repel. A bad start. He can TP himself back, but Fate and Yaki holding down the fort. Rejecting and Hydration bite the dust. It's a good first push from Florida. It's going to be Meko just trying to build up some ult charge for this preceding fight, as the Florida will truly have one of those left. 30 seconds will get added to the time bank. And the Outlaws, they've got Blade, they've got sights, they're going to have window rally, and the Flux too, if Meko can build up in time. That's going to be met with a beat from Chris, however.
Yeah, what do you think about just going dead center here? Like, just go dead center, teleport set up, and then get the barrier?
I think you can just teleport to high ground, to be honest with you. Or like,
Also true.
if I say teleport to high ground, you could go left and then TP to high ground and kind of catch him off guards. But like, the issue is now Lynx knows wherever he is. They were trying to bait, I feel, there is to get down, but TP to the middle point. Fate has Shatter. Gets halted up. There's Dante with the blade. Immortality field has gone down as well as that beat. Dante gets rocked too. There's no nano as well, so that damage mitigation means he has to play safe. A perfect kill onto Lynxer and Dante to start the fight off for the Mayhem. Fate may have fallen, but they do have that window coming online soon, so the additional damage is going to help them tremendously. Yaki's on the point now. They only have to deal with hydration. The spawn advantage is in favor, but one tick might just be good enough. Florida Mayhem have secured one, now a second two, as Gannon Jim opens on the window and kills 3 people on the offense. Fate now just trying to survive for as long as he can to get back to the point in time, and he does just that. And Gangnam Jin, with the window into the triple kill, was able to secure the Mayhem the second point on a 1-minute time bank, Hex.
I mean, maybe that's not the surprise that Florida had, but I'd be pretty surprised if I was Houston. It's a strat that a lot of people know about and employ, but Florida looked like they had that practice down pretty well, especially on first point. I love that they teleport in, but then they all take the angle behind the bell in the middle using the architecture to their advantage, because there are a lot of Florida members who are at half health there, and they were able to just slog it out, get all the damage in, and then eventually you're burning down shields and cutting people in half, because Sim is really good at burning down shields. I think they might have had a different plan for second because Sim was looking for teleport angles, but at a certain point, it's like, guys, 20 seconds, we got to go. The barrier was beautiful to keep everybody alive. The blade got nothing, and Florida Mayhem get 2 points with 1 minute in their bank. Houston, a lot more time to work with, but Hanamura can be an unforgiving map.
Oh, there's the window. Not the perfect angle, but it will do. God, BAP is so good. It's kind of ridiculous. Beautiful.
I like that last
shot
one.
to the chest. There's no way you're going to be able to survive that if you're Tracer, plus the incoming damage as well. You don't even need the headshot. You can just hit the body shot. You can hit the even the legs. Like,
yeah.
Baptiste does so much damage when you use that window, and perfectly timed towards the end. Outlaws had so many ults as well.
Yeah, Yaki staying alive there was beautiful too. He tosses the Blizzard onto the point, thinks that he's dead, but then having the wall up constantly means that any recontest is going to be rather impotent. One player maybe gets out at a time, and then it's always like a 5-on-1.
Okay, they're using the Mei on the offense as well. This on the defense this time as well. No surprise, but well, guess what? Lynxer exists. And Lynxer also found 2 kills, so that's a very good start. And mind you as well, because Florida Mayhem had only a minute in their time bank, it does mean they're not going to be able to capture the second point with time, which is going to result in Outlaws gaining 30 seconds here, and they have a lot of time to get a potential free push in their next attack.
Yeah, it's just Gargoyle got overwhelmed there, and Houston played it really well. They know that if Sigma sets up over there alone a lot of the time, that's exactly where he was. So both Dante and Lynxer take high ground and are taking shots at him, and there's just too much. Gargoyle gets overwhelmed, and they're able to roll in off of that. Without one of your shields up, the second headshot's super easy.
BKB's going to match Lynxer in the Widow versus Widow, but Repel already kills Chris, and the Immortality feels down as well. This is disaster for the Mayhem, who are now trying to jump back down to the point, but BQB and Lynxer both, BKB and Yaki even, find 2 of the most important pickoffs. Hydration, the anchor tank down, and then Lynxer as well, who's just been on fire. BQB finishes off Meko as well. That will be Outlaws now with 3 minutes at least in their time bank. They need to finish with a minute or more to make sure they get a free attack going into their next one.
Super clutch and nice play there too from Florida to send somebody onto the point to make sure that it's not even 33%, because with 3 minutes, you don't really want to let Houston get any sort of progress to piecemeal it out. Florida will have a window that we've seen to use great effect, and Gargoyle's Flux. On the entry though, Houston come in here, and one of their best blades thus far was a Rally Blade combination, both of which are available right now, because without a nano, Dante needs that survivability. Rally comes off.
Oh, there's the window to try and stop it. There's the blade. The armor's going to come out as well. There's a lot of effects going on. Dante can barely see, but all he needs to do is hold the left click. He pushed everybody down from the stairwell too. They managed to get the Flux off and kill off Chris as well. Now they're on the point, just waiting for the Florida Mayhem to jump towards them. Meko finds another one. Dante manages to chase BQB into the spawn as well. 2 ticks acquired. Gannon the last one, gets pushed off the point too. The Doom Fist to stall out for some additional time, but it's not going to be enough. The Houston Outlaws now with 2 minutes and 18 seconds in their time bank to go yet again in round number 5 to get 33% and get match point in the series.
Yeah, Rally Blade is the new Nano Blade. Not really, but kinda. It seems to be working out with Houston. I just love Dante chasing the Widow back to Spawn. He's like, fine, go to Spawn, see if I care. That's the point. You're off of the point. And they were able to get that one. Houston definitely not going into our fourth map down. The worst case scenario would be a draw. I would love Houston to just throw the sim strategy at him, just for fun, just for giggles.
They got 2 minutes. No, heck, no, stop. They got 2 minutes. No.
Yeah, 2 minutes means 2 sim pushes. What's wrong?
No. We just want a guarantee, okay? You are that guy in the queue that's like, wow, you know what we've not played this entire time? Let's play this. Oh, we've been successful on everything else. Let's play this weird sim for some reason.
That always happens. Guys, we got to set up with a Tor Bastion comp this time.
Yeah, it's like, wait.
It's tied. Wait, no, we're actually winning. What's this guy on?
We rolled them on Genji and Widow. Why would we change? It makes no sense. Don't listen to
fun.
Hex,
Games
okay?
are supposed to be fun. Uh-oh.
True.
Uh-oh. Lynxer's on the sim.
No. Just a TP forward. Don't get excited, everybody. Everybody calm down.
Do it.
Oh,
you
no,
kind of want the Mei with this though too, if you're going to do it. Yeah, it's just TP forward. So when you TP forward and then you have the Mei, you can just lock them off, and then everyone can get set up and healed up. So, all right, fine.
They ain't messing with success, and that's Lynx or the Widow. Dante's already taken a really nice position up on the high ground, forcing Yaki away, although that duel is not normally won by the Genji. This Tracer has the recall, almost has 300 effective HP if she uses it correctly.
Do you see that Gargoyle is now with his team, though, and he's not holding that right side just because last time he just got absolutely caught out on it?
Well, that's a big push. Gotta be careful. Oh, Lynxer managed to find there to Chris, who was on the ground, by the way. Lynxer didn't even have a height advantage. And now Lynxer kills Yaki, and that's going to be it. Okay! So, sort of a C9, but Lynxer did kill 2. And now Outlaws 2-1 up in the series. People's Preds everywhere, looking a little bit all over the place, I think. Outlaws now 1 map away from eliminating Florida Mayhem from the Summer Showdown. It's looking all green right now, Hex. Outlaws fans definitely do be cheering, that's for sure.
It's not the worst upset. It's a 7-10, and if you were doing a March Madness bracket, that might be an upset that you pick. But boy, Florida picked Houston. I mean, it was between Houston and Dallas. I get why Florida picked Houston, but maybe the gap is closing between some of these mid-level rising teams and some of the teams that I think we've established as top 4. Meko had one of his better Sigma games we've seen in quite a while. He stood out to me and actually outplayed Gargoyle, but mostly it just seems like Houston is making smart decisions. The entry onto second on their offense was really cool, and for me, catching out Gargoyle on their entry with just Lynxer and the Genji putting pressure on him was super smart. I mean, Gargoyle played differently the next time. There's a lot to like about how Houston's playing right now, Jack.
Yeah, Houston, the meta, it's suiting them. They got Dante on the Tracer, they got all the Genji, and they got Lynxer on the Widow or Ashe. It's looking good for the Outlaws. Maybe finding a bit of revenge as well if they can claim the next map. It's Florida's chance to pick. We're going to jump to a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Special attack. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
Welcome back. Mayhem on the brink of getting eliminated by the Outlaws. And Outlaws finding their revenge against that denial of the reverse sweep last week. It's looking good on Lynx's Widow, and it's looking good for Dante's Genji as well. They've just been so clean. I mean, I wouldn't call it a C9 on Hanamura. There were 2 people already dead, but it still felt like Florida could have put up a fight on the point, but Lynx's Widowmaker is just unstoppable, and I love the way Dante's playing too, Hex. He's been able to kind of check Yaki, who's probably one of the best tools to fight the Widowmaker and then leave BQB to do whatever he wants, but it's just been all about the DPS this entire match, and it definitely suits the Outlaws this meta, and you can tell exactly that just by going on their scorelines and how they've been doing over the last couple of weeks.
Dante playing pretty safe on the Genji, not always going in super far in the backline, although that one time he was able to get the Widowmaker 4 miles away, but playing with his team, using Blade when they had abilities to help him out so he can get some value out of it. Our next map is going to be Rialto. It is going to be the Paris Eternal choice. I was a little surprised he didn't take Junkertown because I think they're 5-2 this year on Junkertown. Rialto 2-0 though, so 100% win rate, and BQB had one of his best maps I've ever seen on Rialto, so maybe just feeling that. Yeah, this is their pick. You can definitely run a Tracer Widow during this meta, but Houston's got the guys to be able to run the exact same lineup, so this could be a close one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Lynx is a bit nervous apparently. He typed in chat. It's like, I'm nervous. Please. I mean, if he plays like that when he's nervous, like, just continue being nervous. Like, you clearly click heads, right? I mean, he's had to... It's not too surprising to see these kind of crazy flick shots on the close tracers. Like you were saying, Hex, he's kind of known for the very, very up-close and personal tracer on the flank, and then he whips to headshot them. I mean, it's been looking good for Lynx thus far. You're not going to lock Bastion, Lynxer.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you use whatever emotion that you have going, and sometimes Lynxer's just fighting for his life against a Tracer. He's like, and then flick shot. Hey, it works. If you use fear, use nervousness to your advantage. It's obviously working today for Lynxer, but Houston's just had a really, I think Hanamura was just a great example of an interesting strategy of let's push point because we have these ultimates. It works perfect for us, and we know what they have, so whoever's tracking ultimates for Houston doing a good job. And then I thought just really being able to find out, like, Florida's not changing anything on their defense. Let's push Gargoyle out here, then we'll rotate here, and then we have that. So it just looks like they're making good rotations and good decisions that are catching Florida off guard. Florida is just trying to out-mechanics them, and maybe they think they can, but right now, everyone on Houston's playing well enough that you can't just out-mechanic this team.
Well, mirror comp, so it's down to the mechanics. No counter picks here. BQB and Lynxer, where are they going to hold up? BQB, of course, the classic Widow spot is kind of taking the street, but I actually like the way Lynx is playing. You don't take the little alleyway to the left-hand side. Oh, the one clip! Oh, Dante. So close. Armor pack was received as well by BQB. Chris was there to make sure he doesn't get instantly killed to start the map off.
Everyone's in the position they want to be in. This is where the fight almost always happens. High ground given up by Florida.
What? Look, I'm 99% sure Lynxer didn't mean to hit that headshot. Like, I am 99% sure. That was just ridiculous.
Benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt, sure. I want a replay on that one. That was... that looked like he was aiming for something else. BQB does end up taking him out. God, these Widowmakers today are just hitting the nuttiest shots.
Well, just like that, that's 1 minute off the clock and very little progress, almost no progress if you consider where the fights usually happen on Rialto, as Houston's able to stabilize on the defense. Pretty close here as far as ultimate charges go for either side. Dante's got that first bomb, and bomb's not really something you wait for. You wait for the halts, then you throw it in, but you're not really being like, I need to save this bomb for something else. It's halt and bomb, or if you see a target bomb at your own discretion, really.
Yeah, of course, that the immortality field. Oh, Dante. Unlucky, and the sticky got eaten as well. Now BQB's on the flank. Lynx knows exactly where he is. He has to duel out with 2 people. His Repel is also there, but Yaki is at least going to be able to force out the immortality field fairly early. Good sign for the Mayhem if they can go fast, but Yaki dies. They can still go fast, though. Immortality field down, and Gargoyle still has the Flux. He's going to use it. The rally is going to get matched by Jexe, so all they need to do now is hold this corner and stack up the armor. Yeah, that Flux did almost absolutely nothing there because they weren't able to actually chase it up, partly because Yaki was already dead, X.
But now Florida can come in and push with a rally. They might wait for some of this armor to start dissipating and then push in with their own rally. Sights popped by BQB, also at a great advantage over Lynxer now, and Yaki's got bomb. There's the rally.
In the front line. Oh, but Fate guys down. I swear they were about to kill off Jexay, who's playing frontline Brig. Post bomb thrown in as well, but Yaki still wants to try and make this fight work. Close range duel for Linkzr. He's got too much support, really. And even BQB gets chased out as well by Dante. This is looking so good for the Outlaws right now. 1 minute remains, Hex. And BQB, I mean Yaki, sorry, and BQB in fact, can't really get much done at all. Dante and Linkzr are just outclassing them right now.
No, absolutely, and then they're coming to each other's aid, which is kind of like the exact opposite which happened to their offense on Blizzard World, but their defense was great. Linkzr is just going off right now. There's only 2 kills on the board for Florida. Florida's only killed 2 people this map.
Okay, Supercharger in. It's gonna get Pulse Bomb. Still a lot of damage to backline as well, but Dante's damage has been done, and he ends up backing off. Repel has window, pulls it fairly early. And that's going to be denied. That space is just going to get taken up by now the Florida Mayhem, or I say that as Hydration pushes himself forward into the bullets of Yaki. However, there's some more kills. They're not sitting on 2 anymore as the Florida Mayhem eventually crack the Outlaws' defense, but there's still an opportunity for the Houston Outlaws to actually touch the point. The payload really hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get a second fight here. Gargoyle would like to have this Flux to pull them all off the bridge when they come over in a classic Sigma move that you see very often. But that's not going to be the case. The Outlaws can rally in here. They're going to have sights early on too and a Pulse Bomb. This might come down to the battle of the Pulse Bombs here as Yaki and Dante ready to try to hit it.
Yaki, you can see him go for it. There's the stick on the back. A lot of damage, but the Immortality Field came out just in time. The perfect one from Dante, though, to take out Gargoyle. And now Fate is left all alone in the front line. The Flux was good enough, but they don't touch!
Yep.
Oh, the Mayhem don't touch again!
Yaki tried to get back, he couldn't. They were down 2 in that fight, and a 3rd kill was about to happen. So not necessarily a C9, but look, this has been an issue for Florida for now about 3 weeks. I can remember doing several of their matches where at the end of maps, I'm like, look, you probably lost that fight anyway, but just to never really contest it with 4 alive, like a 4v6, and you've got the skill to do it. Like, it's not just today. If I'm recalling correctly, the last several matches we've done with Florida is like, dude, maybe not, but still, like, yeah, it's been kind of difficult to watch of just getting to the point. You have to coach that into your team of this is the order of who goes on and who touches, so give us a fighting chance. It's tough as a fan, and it's got to be as a player of like, are we just giving away maps that we could fight? It's been consistent, and it's got to get worked out for Florida to be considered a top 4 team.
Well, look at the position Outlaws are in now, Hex. They need 95 meters to take the series and push themselves to the quarterfinals of the Summer Showdown. Look at that shot! I knew he wasn't looking at it.
You're right.
Oh my god! Just being in that situation. Imagine if you were that Tracer right there.
Oh,
how frustrated you'd be.
I'm 100% always that Tracer. That always happens to me. Usually it's Hanzo arrows from across the map or Mei icicles, but
I mean, in the word of Chips, are just truly unlucky. I mean, now Outlaws have had such a resurgence as well over the last few weeks, and they could really cement themselves in the Summer Showdown here. They are looking scarier week by week. Rialto, a good map for them apparently.
It was Florida and the Mei Melee who really came into their own, but this feels kind of like a similar story, beating a team that's top 5, and you could start making a case that, I mean, if you can't win this meta as the Outlaws, what meta are you going to win?
Well, maybe they just stick with this meta for the entirety of it. I think so. You got to be surprising to get taken out there. Yaki's going to try and match him now, but hits the Venom Mine. Now he's in the back line, covered by the shields, but Jexay in the rest of the Outlaws, just going pure melee, playing Chivalry up in the front lines, like all medieval combat, all melee weapons only, and now Florida Mayhem have to switch to ball to get back to the payload in time. There's 2 people on the point. Repel might be dead because BQB finds the kill, but someone's going to have to touch. Fate manages to get there in time, as well as Yaki now on the payload. 10% away from that pulse bomb. It's going to have to be the one tool that they need to get off. Linkzr manages to find the kill onto BQB, and Dante as well for his like-for-like on Yaki. The Flux brings everybody up and crashes them back down. The Houston Outlaws 3-1 the Mayhem and just propel themselves into the quarterfinals. This is absurd. Outlaws are just on such a turn up. The meta seems perfect for them, and they are playing at the top of their game.
Linkzr has been playing like he is still one of the top Widows in the Overwatch League. I know a lot of people doubted that coming into the season. Dante's got the Tracer, and he's been able to play the Genji around it, but that was a map where they relied more on strategy than mechanical skill. Outlaws no more. You are firmly the Houston Outlaws. A beautiful upset over the Florida Mayhem, who picked you. They thought you were weaker than the Dallas Fuel. Houston, still the team moving on.
Get revenge too from last week's denial of the reverse sweep as well. It's only upwards here from for the Outlaws, I feel, but their fate is going to lie in the hands of those resting in the quarterfinals already. Of course, the higher seeds there will get their chance to actually pick the teams that they want to face. So people like the Shock are going to be able to pick first. So maybe they pick the Outlaws because they think they're the strongest currently. That's definitely been a trend for the Shock. Let's have a look at the player of the match, though, presented by Xfinity. Of course, it's gonna be Linkzr. He has a nutty Widow performance, stayed throughout the entire series as well. We do see Linkzr sometimes swapped in and out, especially towards the earlier half of the season, Hex, but Widowmaker's just on fire. I mean, that as soon as he hit that, like, accidental shot, if you will, on the Tracer, I'm like, okay, this game's over, dude. I think the mental has been firmly cracked on the Florida Mayhem.
But I think that's part of why this Houston team has done so well lately, is they're kind of sticking with very similar starting sixes, and they're keeping people in, and they've got a set strategy, and they're not deviating from it. They're not trying wacky things. They're like, no, we can play these heroes as good as everyone else in the world. And it was actually early on, and even on Control, where Linkzr comes out, and he just ends up hitting like 3 shots for him. And it's like, oh, he's on today. You know, and sometimes Linkzr maybe needs a map to warm up, but then they pull him. It's like Timey used to always need a map to warm up. Maybe it's similar with Linkzr. Maybe it's something about being from Finland. But it was on from the moment it started, and this is the perfect meta for the Houston Outlaws. If you're going to make a run in this tournament, grab some extra wins, and start really moving up the rankings here, I think this meta suits them perfectly. You know, some things need to be cleaned up a little bit, but on their side, Florida's got a lot of work to do to clean it up. But this day is all about the Outlaws. I mean, to get picked by a team and then beat them, that feels good. I think the Shock might pick them just because the Shock, you just want to style on people.
Yeah.
We'll see. So I got to stick around for the selection show at the end of the day.
Yeah, selection show. It's always full of BM. I love it. This is why one of the reasons why I love losers pick the maps, because it can really hit you where it hurts if you do end up losing them. And I love opponents being able to pick their next prey, if you will, if you're someone like the Shock. Toronto versus Valiant is going to be the next match up on your screens, guys. Do not go anywhere. It's me and Hex done for the day, but we'll see you very soon.